Today we are making a video on Ubuntu Christian Edition. Here is the boot menu of Ubuntu Christian Edition. This is the live mode and this is the safe graphics and OM install and test memory. These are the four options available. In order to boot in a live mode, we need to click on try or install Ubuntu. Clicking on enter, which will boot up the desktop in a maximum of a minute or minimum of 30 to 40 seconds. Because it usually takes like a maximum of 1 minute in every Linux distro and minimum of 30 to 40 seconds. The lightweight and the good stable ISO file will boot in a 30 to 40 seconds, and the development alpha version, beta version like that, or some the heavyweight Linux distros will take a minute or more than a minute. And I'm running it on a virtual machine, which is a VMware with 80 GB of hard disk, 4 GB of RAM, and with 2 processors. And here you can see the Ubuntu Christian Edition is almost loading, almost like a 20 seconds I guess. Now it took 20 seconds, still loading. I don't know why they made the Ubuntu Christian Edition. It says it's for Christians. That's pretty weird. We don't need anything about that. We just need the Linux distro, so we just go with it. It's still taking a lot of time. Usually Ubuntu always takes a maximum of 50 to 40 seconds. I think this is also taking the same time, I guess. The desktop environment should be like a GNOME, I guess. I made a lot of videos on Ubuntu Christian in the previous time. So if you want, you can check that out in my channel just by clicking in a search in the channel, like UbuntuCE or Ubuntu Christian Edition as the search term, and you will be having a video. If you can't find, or if you don't know what I'm saying, I will show you in at the end of the video. So be patient. So here is our wallpaper or a desktop, or you can call it as a welcome screen, whatever you say. And this is the common wallpaper, and this is the usual or a default wallpaper always. I've seen this wallpaper in the old version, and this version is like a 22.04.2, and it's still taking a lot of time. It was released in March 2023. So it's still taking a lot of time here, as you can see. I'm moving the mouse cursor here. Nothing, still loading. I think it almost took like 2 minutes, nearly to 2 minutes. I don't want to edit the video. I'm just going to put it like as it is. So you can get the idea of how much time it took. And here is the two options you will get in the Ubuntu CE or Ubuntu Christian Edition. One is live mode and the direct one is installation. It's always a good idea to boot it in a live mode, because if the distro has bugs, so you will be having an idea that there are bugs, so you will stay out of the installation. If you directly installed it, so you should be facing a lot of issues. So it's always better idea to go with the live mode. It's my opinion. It's clearly up to you to choose whatever you do. So I don't want you to ruin your PC, so I'm going to just I'm trying to save you. Always try to boot it in a live mode. So you need to choose your language. There are plenty of language as usual as the Ubuntu thing here. So try Ubuntu CE. Again, it should take like 20 to 30 seconds maximum, because it's setting up the live mode. And the file size is around like 5 GB. The ISO file is 5 GB, and it's only available in a 64-bit, I guess. And here are our terminals or command, you can call it. It should take again 30 to 40 seconds maximum. And the old version has to be having an old installer not the newer installer, because the new installer is on 23.04, and the new installer is only available in Ubuntu 23.04. That is not available in any other flavors. That is pretty weird, because I tried every beta version of 23.04 Ubuntu flavors and Ubuntu. If you want, you can check that out in my channel. And here is our welcome screen. Let's first change our display resolution, because it's totally weird. So by just going with the application menu, go to settings, and you will be having display settings there. Let's scroll it down to displays and change our display resolution to 1920 into 1080 with a 16:9 ratio. If the resolution is not good, or if the text size or font size is not good or not bigger for you, you can go with a fractional scaling or scaling with this. For 1920 into 1080p 1080, the fractional scaling 150 should be pretty good display setting. That's the best settings. You can see 200% should be very bad, because it's going to be way bolder or way bigger. So that's my tip for the 1920 into 1080. Go with the 150 fractional scaling, it will be good. So here is our about Ubuntu Christian edition. Device name is UbuntuCE. I'm using a 4 GB of RAM, as I mentioned before in the beginning of the video. And here is the processor, and the OS name is 22.04.2, and the release date is the 2023.03.5, which is March 5th of 2023, and GNOME version is 42.5, and the latest version right now is 44, and Windows system is X11, virtualization is VMware. Let's close this thing and open the system monitor. If you want to read it, you can read it. There's just Ubuntu Christian edition info, nothing important, I guess. There's the shortcuts. As you can see, you can change the wallpaper here, theme here, DNS Minder, Host Minder, UbuntuCE Software Center. So let's uncheck the show on startup and close this thing. So let's start the system monitor, because we need to know how much resources it is consuming. I'm going to show you the system monitor again at the end, and you will be having an idea of how much resources are consuming before and after the applications opened and some run through of the distro. Here is the resources. Let me change the color so you can quickly or easily see the colors of the graph. RAM is almost 2 GB, which is very bad for the low-end PC. It's not good for the low-end PC, and it's not for the low-end PC. So in my opinion, it's very bad for the 2 GB RAM guys who has a 2 GB RAM PC or a low-end PC. So it's my opinion that it's better to stay out of this Linux distro, because it's already 2 GB of RAM. So if you have 2 GB RAM, it's going to be way laggy. I'm using a 4 GB of RAM. It's taking for me like a lot of minutes to load up, even the boot up the distro, as you can see in the beginning of the video. So it's almost a 50%. I'm using a 4 GB RAM and the 12th gen CPU. CPU is going good. It's almost under 25%, which is pretty common, but the RAM is pretty much bad. And if you want to go with Ubuntu flavors, it's better to go always with Lubuntu or Subuntu. Those are the best options in Ubuntu flavors. So this is the system monitor. Remember the resources consuming right now, and I'm going to open the system monitor again at the end of the video. So let me open the terminal, and let's try to get some of the info of the distro. As you can see, it automatically opened the NeoFetch, and this is I think this is from the Bible. No problem. Let's respect every god or every religion. INXI-SV8 should be the full distro info grabber. INXI is not installed, so let's copy this thing and try to paste it and install INXI. It should take a few seconds. Click on Y for yes and N for no. It should take a maximum of 10 seconds, and we should be installed with our INXI. And let's type this command again. We should be having our full distro info. It's pretty much slow because it usually takes like a 10 seconds should be maximum in every Linux distro to install the INXI, but it's taking a lot of time. Let's type in INXI-SV8 again, and we should be having our full distro info. Let me try to change the background color, so if you want to see it clear. I don't know, it didn't change. So let's try to change the color of the terminal, which is gnome light. So you should see the terminal or a text properly here. UbuntuCE 22.04, and the kernel is a 5.19, which is almost latest version. The latest version is like a 6.2, I guess. Our resolution is a 1920 x 1080. GNOME is 42.5. WM is Mutter. WM theme is Advaita, and some info here. If you want, you can read it. Let's scroll it down and see the host is a UbuntuCE kernel already mentioned, and it's a 64-bit architecture. GNOME already mentioned, GTK 3.24.33, and GDM 342.0. This is the distro info or the distro name, and I'm running it on a VMware, so it's going to say VMware, and the RAM is almost a 1.9 GB. This is my CPU. If you want, you can see that. WMW GFX version is 2.20.0, and Xorg is 1.21.1.3, and display is X11. Let's scroll down. Mesa is 22.2.5, double LVM is 4.1. So let's scroll it down and see whether there are still some more info. There's nothing at the end of the video. At the end of the terminal, there is some info like INXI version is 3.3.13, bash version is 5.1.16, systemd version is 249, processors running right now are 297. I think that's it. Let's type in the same info with short form like INXI. Should give us the short form of the INXI-SV8, INXI-B, small b. Hit enter. These are all the same info, just in a short form. That's it. There's nothing different from there. From the top command, it's INXI-G. It's also same info. Let's type in cat:/etc:/issue. It's a Ubuntu 22.04.2 LTS, which is a long-term support. Let's type in htstop. Htstop is not installed. Let's try to install htstop. Some people want to know the htstop, so for them, let's try to install it. Again, it's going to take a few more seconds, like a maximum of 15 seconds, but it took just like a 7 seconds. That's good. Htstop is memory is running around 1.62 GB of 3.80 GB, and CPU is under the 20%. That's good. Let's check the version of the terminal, which is 3.44.0 for GNOME 42. Let's close this thing, and let me take you to their official website by opening the Firefox browser. Firefox should usually take like a maximum of 20 seconds in every Ubuntu distro or Ubuntu flavored distro, but it's a Ubuntu Christian edition. It's not under Ubuntu flavors. It also took like a same seconds, I guess. Let's check the version of the Firefox. It's a 110 64-bit. Let's type in Ubuntu Christian edition as a search term in the search bar. I'm using a VPN, so it triggered the Google CAPTCHA. So let me verify first. It should take a few seconds, so be in patience. Let me first change to English. This is their official website, which is ubuntuce.com. You can directly type in the URL in the search bar, and here is the info freely he received, freely give. If you want to read it, you can read it on your own, like go to the website and you can read everything. We just want to download this thing, ready to try UbuntuCE. You can download it with a torrent or SourceForge with the download managers or a downloader which comes pre-built in the browsers. So the latest version was a 22.04.2 and the date was this thing, March 5th. So it's going to take a few seconds to download, like 5 seconds, and we should be having our download right here. The file size is around 4.7 GB, which I already mentioned that it's under 5 GB. So as you can see, people who has a good PC, it's better to try it out. It's 5 GB of file size. People who has a low-end PC, it's better to stay out of this Linux distro, because it's almost a 5 GB and heavy resource consuming Linux distro. So let's try to install the Ubuntu 22.04.2. I'm just going to show you the installation process. I'm not going to install it on my hard disk or a virtual machine. Even the installer takes some time to load up or to open up. Here is our installer. First, as usual, the same like Ubuntu installer, same process, nothing changed. But people who don't know the installation process, I'm just going to show you for the formality. First, you need to choose the language. There are plenty of languages available, almost everything. I'm choosing English. And keyboard layout, you can choose any keyboard layout of your language. I'm just going to keep it like an English US on both sides. You can choose anything you want. Click on continue. It should take a few seconds. And here is the updates and other software. Here are two options, like a normal installation and a minimal installation. Under normal installation, you will get everything which the Ubuntu Christian Edition provides, and in the minimal edition you should be getting just a web browser and basic utilities. In my opinion, after downloading a 5 GB of file size, it's always better to go with a normal installation. It would be very weird or a foolishness because you go with a minimal installation and you download with a 5 GB of file size. That's pretty weird. So I'm going with the normal installation, and other options are like a download updates while installing UbuntuCE. These are the updates which downloads the latest versions, and this is the third party like a graphics and Wi-Fi hardware. If you ask me, it's a better option to go click on these things because it's going to save time. If you want to do it later after the installation, you can do that by unchecking these things. It's better to always check this button. If you ask me, it's my opinion. It's clearly up to you if you want to go with it or not. So after this, just click on continue. It should be preparing Ubuntu drivers. It should take a lot of time, like a maximum of 30 to 40 seconds, or maximum maybe 1 minute sometimes, we don't know. So instead of waiting this, let's check the desktop features like notifications, power off, all these things. This is all common because you already seen the GNOME desktop environment for 42. So these are the same settings, nothing is changed. And here is the language, you can choose any language. And here is let's check the about Timekpr-nExt. So let's close this thing. I don't know how to close this thing. Can't even close this thing. No problem, let's move this thing. And this is the installation type. If you want to boot it in a single mode, you can just erase disk and install UbuntuCE. These are the advanced features. If you want to dual boot, you can go with something else. You can resize the partitioning, all these things. It's up to you. And you should be having an idea of what you're doing here because it's going to erase everything, like deleting every files for media files, all these things. So be careful while choosing this option. After clicking on install now, it's going to take a maximum of 20 minutes or minimum of 5 to 10 minutes. Depends on your PC, depends on the Linux distro. It should be completed. After the completion, it's going to say finish, and you need to reboot your PC, and the Ubuntu Christian Edition should be installed in your PC as a dual boot or a single boot as chosen here. If you choose the RS disk, it's going to boot it in a single mode. Something else should be booting in a dual boot. So that's it for the installation process. Let's close this thing. Let me close this thing too. Can't even close this thing. I don't know how to close this thing. Trying to close. We need to open the system monitor to close this thing. Let's go with the process. I don't know where it is. Here it is. Let's end process. Let's ignore this thing. I don't know why it isn't closing. Let's quit it here. It closed. So these are all the pre-installed apps which comes with the Ubuntu Christian Edition. As you can see, just the basic and normal apps which you will find in every Linux distro. There's nothing different. I don't know why they gave the name for as a Ubuntu Christian Edition and didn't choose to give some apps like a Bible, all these things. I think they gave here. They have some apps here. I didn't see that. I'm sorry for that. They gave a Bible and a software center. At least they gave Bible, no problem. That should be helpful for people. And let's open some of the apps and check the version, which is file manager is 42.2. Instead of opening every app, let's go to the software manager and check the versions there at one time. I think I showed everything, I guess. Just the apps version should be known. Bible study. There are plenty of apps available here, as you can see, regarding the Bible for churches, appearance. That's good. Get more software. I think it opens the Firefox web browser, I guess. Let's check that out too. It didn't open the Firefox browser, it opened the software manager. It's going to take a few seconds or a few minutes, depends on the Linux distro sometimes. These are all the pre-installed apps. We have our software manager opened. Let's check the version, which should be like a 41.3. This is the version of Snapstore. Let's check the version of Thunderbird, which is installed already. Snapstore is available. 102.10.0. LibreOffice. Let's check the LibreOffice version. Let's go to installed version and scroll. We can't scroll, no problem. Let's directly open the LibreOffice from here. I think the version should be like a 6.5 or a 7.4 because usually that's the version. In some Linux distro it's 7.5. So I think that's it. There is no other apps. That's just common apps. No need to open that apps. Let's check the version of LibreOffice. This is the version of LibreOffice, which is 7.3.7. I think that's it for the video. Let's open the system monitor and see how much resources are consumed at the end of the video. These are all the processes running right now, as you can see, and the resources. Memory is around 2.2 GB, and we didn't open that many apps, just a few apps, as you've seen in the before. And here is the CPU. CPU is running as usual as same at the end beginning of the video, and right now is the same thing. RAM is also almost 2.2 GB. It's up to you to judge that you want to use it or not. If you want the Bible, all these things, so it's better to go with this Linux distro. If you don't want anything, So you can choose another Linux distros or another Ubuntu flavored Linux distros which are Ubuntu, Ubuntu like that. So it's clearly up to you. If you want to choose it, you can choose it. People who has 2 GB RAM, it's better to not go with this thing because it's going to be so laggy and frustrating for you. I don't want you to get mental torture for that. So it's almost 2.3 GB. If you're having a 2 GB of RAM, the RAM should be like a 1.8 GB. It's not going to be 2 GB. So 500 MB of extra is almost here without opening that many apps. So it should be very not possible to use the Linux distro, or you can't even use the Linux distro with a 2 GB of RAM. So that's it for the video. I'm going to show you my channel. This is the part for the viewers who want to watch my content without subscribing. People who already subscribed, no need to watch this step. You can skip this step. You just need to type in youtube.com/9to5linux. Let me type it. This is the URL. You need to type it in your web browser, whether it's a mobile, TV or a tab. If you're using a web browser in any devices, you need to type completely youtube.com/9to5linux. If you're using a YouTube app, then you just need to type in 9to5linux in the TV or device or a mobile tab like that. You just need to type in 9to5linux. So let's click on enter. It's going to open my channel and I'm going to give some info there. I'm using a VPN, so it opens these settings, some settings of YouTube, like accept cookies, all these things. So here is my channel, as you can see. And I will be posting 2 videos daily without missing any day. So I mentioned here, I am posting like 5 to 6 years now. I didn't miss any day. So these are the timings you need to visit from Monday to Sunday. The videos will be available before the timing and will be in premiere mode. So you will be having an idea what the content should be that day. So here is the community. So the latest Linux news and the Linux package or the any other news will be available in the community. It's not showing here, but it should be showing in your devices. I'll be giving info here, so keep an eye on it. So again, if you are here only for the Linux content, just go to the playlist and search the Linux. It should be under the second scrolling button, or as soon as you see here, just scroll it down and you will be seeing the Linux. Click on view full playlist under Linux and it should be opening the these videos. I made almost like 1560 videos. I covered every Linux distro or every variety or every different types of Linux distros. I almost covered like a 70 to 80% of every Linux distros available in this world. So if you want to play all or shuffle, do anything you want, you can do it, no problem. So again, if you want to search the specific Linux distro, you can just type in, for example, MX Linux. Click on enter and the latest video should be here. So whether it's a alpha version, beta version, pre-release, development, any ISO file is released. As soon as the ISO file is released, I will be making a content on it. So you don't need to be searching for that Linux distro or for other channels. I will be providing that. If you want to go to other channels and look it out, I don't have any problem. You can go check the other channels. So it's up to you. So again, that's it for the video. If you want to subscribe, you can subscribe. If you don't want, it's clearly up to you. I respect your opinion, no problem for that. So let me close this thing and end the video. Again, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit the thumbs up button. It helps make a good content for you. Other than that, I'll see you in tomorrow's video. Peace out. I'm making another video today. So after this, if you want to watch it, you can watch it. If you don't want, no problem.